Damon did a great job. I feel like that I don't even really need to stand here because he showed exactly what peer support is. And I just want to ask, did you guys feel that connection while he was up here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you feel the vulnerability and the value that he brought to each person? I could feel it. And as I was sitting there listening to him, I was like, this is why peer support works. This is why we have peer support. Because they can do what other professionals cannot. Because they've been there. They've done that. They are able to connect on a level and have that vulnerability and share with their peer that they're with what it's like to feel or to be in that deep hole and not see a way out. And so thank you, Damon. You did a great job. I'm Alicia Wilcox, and I am a certified peer support specialist and a family peer support specialist. I do all of the family peer support training in the state of Utah, and I do certified peer support trainings with Utah State. We do a hybrid training, and I love it. I started as a peer support working with the Strengthening Families program at Wasatch Behavioral Health, and then I was hired as a full-time peer working on the high fidelity wraparound team with the system of care team, and went out with facilitators working with high acuity families. Their last ditch effort before kids were sent away or put in a facility or were removed from their families or their homes. And I can tell you I'm a better parent because of what I've been through and what I've learned as a peer support. And there's a lot of things about peer support that you can teach, but you can't teach that empathy. You can't teach that connection. You can't teach that vulnerability, that willingness to put yourself out there to support someone else who's in a struggle. And that was one thing that I learned when I started on this journey, was that I was being able to provide for people what I wished I had for myself in my healing. That I would have had somebody that I could talk to. That I would have had somebody who would have just sat in the hole and said, sorry, I did not think I'd get emotional. But then I would have had somebody who would sit in the hole with me and say, you know what, this sucks. I know what it's like, and I'm here. Not that they know what my experience is like and exactly what I'm going through, but they know what that emotion's like. They have been able to find within themselves a time when they felt the same, when they felt that hopelessness, when they felt that frustration, when they felt that anger. And they're able to connect with that and just be there for me, sit with me in my space of frustration or struggle or fight. So let me see if I can. So today we're going to talk about just how you'll be able to accurately describe the concept of peer support and provide 2 specific ways it benefits individuals and families, which I think sitting here the last 2 days, we've been very well educated about the things that peer support does and who peer supports are. They haven't put that label on a lot of what they've talked about, but the person first language, the suicide prevention, the connection, helping people. I loved the soul presentation that we had and that we learned about, because we help people. They have their own answers. As peer supports, we get to go in and help them connect with their inner soul, with their own inner wisdom, and find those answers for themselves. And that's when healing starts to happen. Is when it's their idea, right? It's what they want to try. And then you'll be able to list 3 key peer support strategies And so we'll go into those. So in order to be a peer support specialist in the state of Utah, here are the requirements. You have to be in sustained recovery for at least 1 year, mental health or substance use. And you have to have a high school diploma or GED. Then you go online and you submit an application on the DHHS website. And it's a pretty simple application. You have to have some letters of referral. You have to share your story. And then you'll be, the state will put you into a training and you'll attend a 40-hour training and you have to pass a test to be certified. And then you have to complete the CE requirements to maintain certification. And so you have to do those every year, right? You are ethics, suicide prevention. You can have some general, but then you have to have specific CEUs that are directly related to peer support. Okay, so when we talk about peers, there's a lot of talk in the community with people who don't understand what peers are and what they do, about what really do peers do, and is it effective, and do they really make a difference? So research shows that the benefits of peer support can include an increased self-esteem and confidence. We see this as we help individuals discover that hope. And as we're working with them, we see their confidence and their self-esteem just blossom and grow, and they want to do more to aid themselves in that recovery. We see an increased sense of control and ability to bring about changes in their life, right? We celebrate those small goals that they reach. We celebrate those small things that they do towards their recovery. And what does it do? When somebody praises you for something you do, it makes you want to do it more, right? You want to keep taking those steps forward. And that's what peer support does. We celebrate everything with our peers. Raised empowerment scores. And increased sense that treatment is responsive and inclusive of needs. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit more in just a little bit. But it also, we see an increased sense of hope and inspiration, increased empathy and acceptance. It gives them, people to be around. I was just telling Jennifer a little bit ago that I feel like I'm in a space, I just moved, and so my support network that I had while I was in Utah County isn't as readily accessible to me. I'm now in Mountain Green, which is on the other side of the mountain, a much smaller town, very calm, very quiet. And I was just telling her, I'm like, I don't feel like I have that support that I did before. I don't have my people that I can just go to. And peer support, that's what it does. It gives them that community of people who support and who encourage. Increased engagement is self-care and wellness. Once you know better, you do better and you feel better. And increased social support and social functioning. Connection is huge in peer support. And a lot of times that's what we miss. We don't realize that we need it until we have it. And then we're like, oh, man, I need that connection. I'm missing that connection. We see decreased psychotic symptoms, reduced hospital admission rates and longer community tenure, decreased substance use, and depression. Okay, so not only do things get better, they get better in every other way because we're decreasing a lot of symptoms and struggles. What does a peer support do? So peer supports are different. We're not therapists. We're not psychologists. We're not doctors. We don't prescribe. We don't diagnose. We inspire hope that people can and do recover. You saw that and heard that with Damon, right? It's hard to imagine. I look at my life and I think the same thing. It's hard to believe that I am the person that I am, even when I look back to like 2019. I look back to where I was, and I'm a completely different person. And it's hard to imagine, because knowing where I was then, it's really hard for me. It was hard for me then to imagine that I could be in the space that I'm at right now. Because with a plan to take my life using substances and just being in the depth of that despair with no hope, there's no way I would have dreamed that I would be standing here today talking to you about peer support, about something that is so incredible that helps people to be able to heal. We walk with people on their recovery journeys. We dispel myths about what it means to have a mental health condition or substance use disorder. We're breaking that stigma. We're talking about it. We're helping people see that they're not alone. We provide self-help education and link people to tools and resources. That's where we're different than like caseworkers. We teach them. We sit with them. We don't just give them resources and say, here's a bunch of places to call, go here, do this, do that. We sit with them and we try to teach them those skills so that they have those skills that they can, in turn, when we're gone and not a professional in their life anymore, that they have those skills now that they can go and they can do these things on their own. They know how to connect. They know how to network. They know how to look things up. We're teaching them these skills. We support people in identifying their goals, hopes, and dreams, and creating a roadmap to get there. We're not telling them how to do it and when to do it. We help them discover that own inner wisdom and say, what do you want to do? How do you want to see this go? And then we teach them and help them on that road, a path to get to where they want to be. Peer support workers can help break down barriers of experience and understanding, as well as power dynamics that may get in the way of working with other members of the treatment team. The peer support worker's role is to assist people with finding and following their own recovery paths without judgment, expectation, rules, or requirements. If there's a barrier, we ask, hey, what was the barrier? What stood in the way of making progress? And they talk to you and they explain, and then you say, okay, where do you want to start this week? You know, that's hard. It's hard when you encounter those barriers. We're going to pick ourselves up and let's try again. Maybe we need to relook at the goal that we set. Maybe it wasn't smart enough. Maybe it really wasn't the direction or the path that they wanted to take. But every no that we get and every barrier we encounter is one step closer to us finding something that will work, that does light their eyes when they think about moving and progressing. Okay, so where does, I say family peer support, but I just want you to know that this is not just family peer support. This is peer support in general. I did a family peer support presentation and just pulled this from that. But where does peer support fit into a treatment model? So right now, the current structure is this yellow diamond, right? Where we have a few peers, and then it goes up, and we have the licensed clinical therapists, psychologists, and prescribers, right? And that's how it goes. The system is set up to have these professionals. That's where all of the people go. So what we would like to see is to build out the workforce extenders that allow licensed providers to work to the top of their license. So number one, that's going to help with provider retention and burnout, and it promotes a clear career ladder. So what we would like to see happen is families are introduced or individuals are introduced to peer support, right? Through, we have these clinical licensed therapists and that we have them for a reason. They're valuable. But right now, there's so many people that are coming into them. I don't know if you've tried to get into a therapist that is a good therapist, but it is hard to get into a therapist right now. Well, what if we had peer supports and non-clinical and other licensed practitioners who are certified, and peer supports could go in and help people, and then these licensed clinical therapists, psychologists, and prescribers could focus on those high acuity needs, those people who can't be helped with peer support. I remember when I first started being a peer support, I was like, where in the world was this when I was like struggling, when I was having struggles with my kids, when the police were showing up on my doorstep and saying, where's your child? And I'm like, oh, God, I don't know. Right? Like, where was that peer support for me? Did I need a therapist or, a psychologist at that point? Yeah, I probably did. But to have somebody say, hey, Alicia, I know what it's like. It really sucks. And this is what I did when my kids came home and we had those conversations and our interactions. I learned how to have those conversations with parents so that their relationships with their kids weren't ruined. That's what peer support can do. And so then I don't want to say we save the families, but then the families aren't jumping just right to here where there's a problem. We're teaching families and individuals to make small adjustments that actually help with their families and the situations they're in. So the peer support role complements but does not duplicate or relapse the role or replace the roles of therapists, case managers, and other members of a treatment team. We've already talked about that. Peer support workers bring their own personal knowledge of what it is like to live and thrive with mental health conditions and substance use disorders. To have a Damon come in, I'm trying to see if I saw other peer supports that I was working with, but to have a Damon or a Lynette come in and say, hey, I've been there. And it's really, really hard. And now pretty soon they have hope because they see that they're thriving. They see that they're leading a life that is positive and functional. And it gives them hope that they can do the same thing. Peers support people's progress towards recovery and self-determined lives by sharing vital experiential information and real examples of the power of recovery. Mutuality. The sense of mutuality created through thoughtful sharing of experiences is influential in modeling recovery and offering hope. Okay, so I just want to run through this scenario really quick. These are things that we encounter all the time, and as peers, this is what we aim to change the thinking with professionals and the individuals that we're working with. So Shalita is providing peer support to Barbara in an agency that provides treatment to people who are diagnosed with both mental health and substance use challenges. Barbara's providers and other staff are having a team meeting. It's 10 a.m. Barbara has been asked to stand by and is told that the team will bring her in toward the end of the meeting. Shalita and Barbara chat about their weekends, how their weekends went, and then are asked to join the meeting at 10:45. The team discusses what they have come up with as potential steps for Barbara to take, such as meeting with a prescriber to discuss her compliance with medications, continuing to go to 12-step meetings, and meeting with her therapist 2 times a week. They are considering sending her to a day treatment to give Barbara some structure in her day. Okay, do you guys see anything wrong with that situation? Yeah.
So if that does work for Barbara.
Oh, just a fake question. Yeah.
The client should always be involved.
Always involved in treatment plan. Nothing about you without you. Okay? They should have been in that meeting at 10 o'clock. And sometimes this is something that we have to help prescribers and professionals understand, is that they need to be involved. And we have to help the individual understand as well. that they get to be involved in their treatment. They have a voice and it's important. And so as peers, we're not only helping the families, but we're helping other professionals around us to see and realize the importance of involving the individual in their care. And because they'll find more progress, they'll find more success when they're involved, instead of people just telling them what to do and how to do it and when to do it, right? They have a voice. Did you have something?
Yeah, they also get buy-in and help create their own plans so they're more authentic, right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they've got that buy-in. And we step away at that point from labels, right? They're non-compliant. Well, why are they non-compliant? Because they don't have a say. They're being told what to do. And it makes it really hard to see progress and have buy-in and see growth and have hope when they don't have a voice. And as peers, that's one of the things that we get to do. So just to close, I just wanted to say a few things, some quotes that we've had. My mess is now my message. These are individuals who have had peers. Because of peer support, I can stand on my own today. There are many paths to recovery. Peer support is allowing, encouraging, and supporting individuals in finding theirs. I love peer support. I love the work that peers do. I'm very passionate about the influence and the impact that peers have. And the more evidence and research that we do, the more we're finding that when peers go out with officers on MCOT teams, when they're in hospitals, when they're in therapist's office, when when we find peers in places, individuals are more successful and they have better success rates. And so just if you have questions, if you would like peers in the places that you work, just reach out. We would love to have peers everywhere. So thank you. I appreciate the work that you do. I know it's taxing and hard, but you do make a difference. And I appreciate you. Does anybody have any questions? I guess I should ask that. Any questions? Jennifer? Yeah, so at Utah State, we do peer trainings. We do CPSS trainings, so adult peer trainings every quarter, and we do family peer support trainings every quarter. And then I do teach adult training 1 to 2 times a year, which CPSS peers can come to that training, and it's just specific on what family peer supports do. So yeah, once a quarter. And I know that you saw Southwest, Behavioral, Davis, who am I missing? Latino. Did I get them all? There's 5 other agencies who do trainings throughout the year as well that you can get in. So it's pretty easy to get into a training and get certified. Any other questions? Yeah?
Well, not rising.
So forensic training, they don't do quite as often. That is I think we've done 2, if I remember, 2 cohorts of forensic training. And so with forensic, you have to have that, what is it? Jail involvement, that incarceration involvement. But they'll do at least 2 a year, I know. And so you have to be a certified peer. Is it 2 years? Am I right? 2 years. Okay.
I've heard that, but I heard now the things.
Yes, kind of a loose rule, but they do want you to have that experience of being a peer under your belt for a time before you jump into forensics. So, yeah. Okay, thank you.